No, don't panic. Rangers haven't signed Mr. Wobbly yet. I was just realising a lifetime's ambition to score a goal at Ibrox Stadium. I'm sure every Rangers supporter's got a dream of scoring a goal here in front of about 40,000 people. I've just done it in front of an empty stadium and the thrill's just magnificent. I'm sure you've all got your own favourite Rangers goals, and I hope you like some of the ones that we're going to show you today that have been scored for Rangers over the years. Back in the 60s, they might not have had action replays or even colour pictures, but they did have great teams, and they produced great players that went on to become Rangers heroes.
Rangers are a team that are expected to win most of their games. They're also expected to win home and away. So, being an attacking side, irrespective of the opposition, there's always going to be a lot of chances. And if people are in the right place to put the ball in the net, they're going to score a few goals.
The game I did play in, but I must go down as one of the greatest goals. I saw it and tell hundreds of times. Was Kai Johansson when Kai scored against Celtic in the cup final, especially Celtic. To hit and it was a real. You can get Kai another 100 shots out and they wouldn't go in the net again. We scored that many goals, and every goal to me was a great goal. That was as simple as that.
Ball's out. Well, according to Mr. Wharton, it was out. Inside forward Johnston. Well, I don't know how McLean missed that one. And somebody's foot stopped that one. And it's a goal by Johansson. Well, there it is. Johansson, the first Danish player ever to appear in a cup final, and he is celebrated by scoring the first goal.
The play, it was quite apparent that Johansson was trying to make his way into position. Everybody anticipated that he would lay the ball off to the wing, and I was some 10-15 yards behind him when he let fly, and it really was a magnificent shot, and I had every sympathy with the Celtic goalkeeper because he really didn't have much of a chance. He didn't see it until it was almost upon him. Johansson, of course, was absolutely elated because he was a Polish player but had yet to make himself a great favourite with the Ibrox fans. He was maybe a little more delicate than they would have liked at the fullback.
Here's Willoughby to Smith. Towards Ferguson. The good goal by Ferguson.
Surely as a Govan boy, Fergie dreamt that one day would don the light blue jersey.
Oh, very much so. That I always remember that a scout called Jimmy Smith, the famous centre forward, great player, and he was a scout. And I don't know how many times he came to watch me playing for my schools, for Govan High. And you always saw him there, on the touchline, and I would go up to my dad after him. Did he say anything? He says, no, he never spoke to it. That went on for years,
When Fergie finally made it to Ibrox, he met up with two former teammates from his junior days, Craigie Watson and Ronnie McKinnon. And like Alec, their road to Ibrox had been a long one.
Used to train with the Benburb, And they had a change of match committee, which happens almost every year in junior football. And the new match committee got rid of a lot of us. Every one of us says, don't come back, we don't want any young boys about the place. So we came out at Tinto Park one lovely summer's night, and Big Ronnie says, I'm just going alongside for Rangers. If I can't get a game for the Bens, I'll get a game for Rangers. And 6 months later he was playing for Rangers. So it's amazing, that three of us eventually got there in different ways.
Goes to Matheson. Ferguson's there! There's a goal by Alex Ferguson, second, right on the spot there. Rangers 3, Dundee United nothing.
Another Rangers great of the 60s and 70s made a remarkable debut against Celtic. And not being a local boy, he had one unusual disadvantage.
Obviously, we coming from Edinburgh up to 15, I'd never really seen a Rangers-Celtic game. And then when I started with the club, the reserves were always playing at Parkhead, so you missed the big games. So I'd never actually seen a Rangers-Celtic game.
Johnston nicely to Smith. Inside forward, Smith. Jardine. That's a goal by Jardine. It's a goal for Rangers. With 5 minutes to half time, that makes it Rangers 1, Celtic 0.
And the young Sandy Jardine's talents obviously caught the manager's eye because it earned him a place in a European tie.
We hadn't been scoring goals, so Simon put me up to centre forward, and I had a wee spell where I scored, I think, about 13 goals in 12 games, which was brilliant. So we're playing, I think it was the Fair Cities Cup in these days, and we're playing against Vojvodina out here, and it was I think it was the last minute, a free kick into the back post. Big Ronnie McKinnon, who was playing then, knocked it across the goals, and there was I, up like a bird, connected beautifully right into the top corner.
Penman taking the free kick. As Jackson who's taking it. Jardine. And it's a goal! It's a goal! Jardine has scored to make it Rangers 2, Vojvodina 0.
But what was the atmosphere like for players in big European games?
All big games have that sort of atmosphere. Obviously there's European games which are bigger than normal, but to be honest, the Rangers Celtic game takes a bit of beating for hype.
Brand. Miller. Jimmy Miller shoots Rangers into a 1-0 lead. Rangers fourth corner. And the ball given in by Forrest. Headed forward by Miller. Forrest scores. Rangers 1, Celtic 0.
Wilson taking this corner kick. And it's a goal! Forrest has scored! Well, it's just the right time to score. And Forrest has broken the post-war record at Ibrox because it's his 39th goal. Craig on to Forrest. Henderson of Rangers. And a goal! Goal by Henderson. Look at the wee flag. Well, that's one right out of the bag. Pearson. Pearson. That's a goal by Pearson. And that makes it Rangers 1, Celtic 0 after 2 minutes of the second half.
Ibrox Stadium has changed beyond all recognition since those days, but the traditions of Ibrox remain every bit as strong. Hello, this is about as far as Rangers fans get on a match day, but today I've got a wee treat for you. I'm going to take you inside this door and show you some of the great things inside Ibrox Stadium. Come on. This is the famous marble hallway. You can see why it intimidated opponents for years and years. It's guarded by security people now, but there used to be an old guy that guarded it here, Bob Moffat his name was, wore a brown overall, and he had sort of failing eyesight, but you couldn't get by him. All the Rangers players, even although he couldn't see them, he could recognise the voices, so they had to speak before they got in. There was a story that the phone rang one day at the end of an old firm game, maybe about 4:45. Bob picked it up. Hey, hello, I'm calling from San Francisco, a voice says. What was the score? And Bobby said 2-1 and put the phone down. He never said who it was for. So if you're in San Francisco and it was you that called that day, it was for the Rangers, and it was a lot easier than 2-1. Come on, I'll take you up the stairs. Up here are the two jewels in the Ibrox crown, the famous Blue Room and the magnificent Trophy Room. We'll go there first. These These are the doors that lead into the magnificent Blue Room where the Rangers directors entertain their guests on match days. It's also the scene of a very unique ceremony called the Loving Cup ceremony. It takes place on the first game of every new year. Come on, I'll let you into the secret. Isn't this magnificent? If a trophy room is the crowning glory of Ibrox Stadium, then this surely is a jewel in the crown. It's called the Loving Cup, and it's one of only 30 that were struck to commemorate the coronation in 1937 of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, the parents of our present monarch. And it's the centrepiece of a unique ceremony which is held on the first league game of every new year. I was very privileged to be here in 1978. Rangers actually won the treble in that year, and they played Celtic in the first home game of 1978. Rangers won 3-1 from goals by Smith, Gregg and Parlane. And afterwards, in here, the directors of Celtic and Rangers and their guests gathered round, stood in a circle. This was filled with whiskey, and everybody toasted the monarch right round the circle. And it's finished by singing the national anthem. And my abiding memory is of Desmond White, the chairman of Celtic Football Club at that time. His voice just boomed round this Blue Room. You couldn't hear anybody else singing but Desmond. Magnificent baritone voice he had. If it hadn't been such a solemn ceremony, I think everybody would burst out laughing. The Loving Cups were presented only to English First Division clubs, and Rangers gained theirs in tragic circumstances after a mining disaster in Stoke.
They came down to play we had a mine disaster, and to get Rangers down here was a big feat. We had a very big crowd. There was no floodlights in those days, of course, and it was on a Wednesday afternoon. Everything, the gate receipts for the charity and so on. And not only that, the president of the club, Stoke City, Sir Francis Joseph, he suggested to have this Loving Cup, which meant that every time the season started, whoever got the Loving Cups would drink it from it. And we had it was a great day. For me, I think I was about 17 or 18. To play against Rangers was Rangers.
In the 1970s, Rangers had arguably their best era, winning 2 trebles and the European Cup Winners' Cup. The start of a decade was unforgettable for one 16-year-old in particular.
I can always remember the day before the final. And these days you didn't go away down the coast to prepare for the game. You just went home on the Friday and turned up for the game on the Saturday. I was just going out the door after training when Willie Waddle and Jock Wallace grabbed me and took me into the boot room. They sat me down, they gave me a half a dozen stand tickets for the game and said, "You're playing tomorrow, bring your family through, there's the tickets. Now you go home and get a good night's sleep." Now I ask you, you're playing in a cup final against Celtic on a Saturday, and he says to me, "Go home and get a good night's sleep." I think I went to my bed at 6 o'clock, never slept a wink all night, but obviously dreaming about scoring a winning goal, and fortunately enough for me, I scored it.
Listen to McDonald, Johnston, Steen and Derry Johnson out in front. Stay up. Centre forward Johnston scores a beautiful header from Willie Johnston's cross.
I remember the goal well. It's probably the only thing I remember about the game. Willie Johnston came from the left. He went over to the right-hand side of the park. We were shooting towards the Rangers end, the Mount Florida end. And he crossed the ball into the box. And I just remember jumping. There was a Celtic player in front of me and one behind me. At the time, I didn't realise who they were, but obviously afterwards with pictures, it was Jim Craig and Billy McNeil. And the ball just sat nice for me. And I nodded the old head and it went into the back of the net. It was the most amazing feeling to get. I mean, as a 16-year-old, you just couldn't believe one end erupting and the other end's very, very quiet. A smashing feeling.
Well, honestly, I lived off these type of guys, you know, like say Derek Johnson, because getting crosses in, you had to get somebody daft enough like him to throw their head in among where the boots and that fly. But we had a really good partnership. I knew that if I put the ball into a right area there, that Derek would at least go in after the thing. Maybe not getting the end of them all, but the one thing he would do was ensure that defenders wouldn't get things their own way. But he got more than his percentage off goals, obviously, for crosses.
Players like myself always needed ammunition. I could very rarely conjure up a goal myself. I needed balls coming from wide, and Alex McDonald threading balls through, Bobby Russell, and we Tommy McLean and Davy Cooper, as far as I'm concerned, were the men that made me. Their crosses that they supplied to me were inch perfect.
Driving it hard forward. Dalglish going up. McDonald now on the break. Trying to find McLean. Good ball. Parlane coming out to help. McLean cutting infield. Square to Parlane. Parlane gets it back. Out to McLean, still dangerous. McDonald, Johnston, Scott all in the middle. McLean, right foot to the left foot. There's the chip cross. Johnston going in. That's there! Beautiful goal. Derek Johnson has scored in the 5th minute for Rangers. He's pitchforked into this match early in the second half. McDonald, McLean, great chance for number 2. It's there, it's number 2.
It was a really exceptional left foot volley for me. That's the one that normally keeps me standing. It saves me falling down, but no, I think it was a trundler that actually went in the corner of the net. But it's one that lives in memory because obviously goals against Celtic are important to Rangers Football Club.
McDougall coming away for Rangers. Good running here by McDougall. Nice ball out to McLean. There's the cross. Parlane. It's a goal. 3-0. Parlane has made it 3-0. 28 minutes gone in the second half, and that's the close-up that gives you the news.
Alec MacDonald realised a lifetime's ambition when he signed for Rangers. But how did he feel when he scored a goal?
I think it's like every young kid who, when you go to school just along the road there, and your ideal hopes is to play for Rangers and to score the goal in the cup final, and which eventually was the winner. It's very difficult to explain how it feels. It's just you're basically gone. You're on a high, and you maybe have another 30,000 behind you who's on a high as well.
On to Derek Parlane. Parlane with it. Oh, Edmondson's there. Here's McDonald with it. It's there. Alec MacDonald has opened the scoring.
It was actually a ball played out to Quinton Young, and he threw it over, which was perfect for me. It was my perfect height, so it was one of these ones, shut their eyes and go for it. And when I opened them up, it was in the right place.
It was a fabulous team at the time. We were a very, very solid defence, and that was important. We played 3 at the back then. It wasn't a case of playing 4. If they played 3 strikers, we played 3 markers. That's how confident we were, which meant you could push another player into midfield. And the result of that, then midfield men can go up and help the forwards. That's how we looked at it. If we scored 5 and we lost 4, we'll win the game. And that was a great thing in these days. We never sat back looking for draws. That wasn't heard of them. We went forward to try and entertain and to try and score goals.
McKean, Derek Johnston has a chance. Derek Johnston gets his 16th goal of the season to put Rangers ahead by 1-0. Rangers get the second half underway. They've got a very good Scottish Cup record against Aberdeen. This is their 17th meeting in the Cup. The previous 16 encounters, Rangers have won 9, Aberdeen 3, 4 have been draws. And Rangers confidently coming forward. Oh, what a simple goal! After 15 seconds, Alec MacDonald makes it 2-0 for Rangers. McKean trying to get round the back, but it comes to McLean. Chip forward, Henderson! That is number 3 for Rangers. A glorious goal from Martin Henderson. Rangers finding a lot of space, and McKean has got the legs to outwit Rob. Henderson's working back. He dummies it. Parlane! Brilliantly saved by Geoghegan. But Parlane's got it! Derek Parlane, Rangers'
second substitute with 4 minutes remaining puts Rangers in an invincible lead by 4 goals to 1.
Then when Rangers played Motherwell in the Cup semi-final, they showed their true blue fighting spirit.
That was an incredible game. Motherwell at the time were on a high. They had Bobby Graham and Pettigrew. That was the 2 strikers. They were the main men, fabulous players at the time. And we were 2-0 down after an hour, and our fans were giving us absolute bellises simply because we hadn't played. We were outplayed for an hour by Motherwell. And then a long punt from Peter McCloy, found myself running through on the goalkeeper, and he brought me down in the corner of the 18-yard box, and we got a penalty kick from that and we scored. And from then on there was only one team going to win it. I was fortunate enough to score 2 goals that night, the winner about 5 minutes to go, but we were very, very fortunate that night. Motherwell played well, but it was typical how Rangers never give in. They always fight to the end, and that night proved exactly how we played.
Now break here. Graham, can he lay it off? Here's McLaren going in. It's a great goal. Oh, a great goal for Motherwell. McLaren the scorer. Easily mopped up there by Stevens. No real challenge by Rangers, and here's Willie Pettigrew going in well. It's a great chance for Motherwell. Can he turn it round? He will. He's done it. 2-0. Derek Johnson after this. There's McAdam, Rennie as well. And the penalty has been given. A penalty has been given. That's it. 2-1. Again, a mighty one. Derek Johnston after this. There's Johnson. It must be an equaliser. That's it. An incredible goal. 2-2. And Gregg with a free kick. Farley with it. This must be. That's it. Rangers have got what should be the winner. Derek Johnston makes it 3-2 for Rangers with only 2 minutes left.
Derek Johnson was the top goal scorer in that year. What made him so successful?
You've always got to be in the box. It's pointless myself going out wide and crossing balls into the box. Who was going to head them in the 70s? That's why my job was, when we came forward, you get inside the 18-yard box. We've got players that's going to supply the ball. You make sure you're in there and finish it off, and that's important.
McLean with Gregg. In goes Johnson. It's there. That's the snap goal I was talking about. 40 seconds. The Hearts defence coming right back for this, and they need to because Johnson will be there, Henderson, and of course Jackson coming up just into the penalty box now. McKean with it. Jackson just behind there, and McDonald lets fly. That's it. Alec McDonald makes it 2-0 for Rangers on the half-time whistle. Penny Ed. Gregg mucked it up easily. Now McLean to Gregg. Here's Martin Henderson in the open. Gregg coming through. Henderson with it. There's McKean with Brown. Tending to overdo it. Good running by McKean though. That's it. Derek Johnston, the third goal.
In 1975, Rangers clinched the championship for the first time in 11 years. The flag was finally won by a great goal from Colin Steen at Easter Road, which also prevented Celtic from making it 10 championships in a row.
Good play by Jordan. A good pass forward to McKean. McKean going on the outside, getting it across. Chance for Steen and a goal! 16 and a half minutes played and Easter Road erupts. Free kick to Hibs. Smith lofting it forward. Jackson heading down. And it's all over. And Rangers have done it. There's Jock Wallace and there's Sandy Jardine, and that's the picture that says it all. After 10 long years, Rangers have won the Scottish First Division Championship. 6 times they've been second. Twice they've been third. There's John Gregg with Jock Wallace. Gregg with Jardine. Wallace going around all these players.
a day I'll never forget. Then in 1978, Rangers signed a young lad from Kilmarnock with a famous footballing name.
I think if I had to choose one special goal, probably it was a game against Juventus here when we were 1-0 down from the first leg in Turin. Juventus at that time had 9 Italian internationals current in their team, and they were very, very strong, and they'd been league champions I think for 2 or 3 years in a row. They were 1-0 up from the first leg, and we did well to keep it to 1-0, but we came here and we won 2-0 on the night, and I scored the second goal with a header. Now what was special about that was the fact it was a header, because I wasn't noted for my heading, but I rose among a crowd of players that night, Derek Johnson, Colin Jackson among them, and managed to get a header in to beat Dino's off, who was a well-known figure at the time and still is. So that was a special night.
Russell. Where's a goal? Gordon Smith, a superbly simple goal, beautifully executed.
Gordon Smith remembers the January 78 game, not only for the goal he scored, but for a great goal scored by a great captain.
It was quite a controversial game that day because of the second goal that we scored. But that day I opened the scoring a good ball from Bobby Russell, and I made a run from midfield through in behind the Celtic defence, and we had good passes of the ball. Tommy McLean, Bobby Russell, Ali McDonald, Davy Cooper, great passes of the ball through, and I made the runs in behind the fence and got through and just hit it first time when I got there. And Jock Wallace always used to say to me, one touch finish when you get in the box, don't mess about in there, and it's probably good advice. Decided just to get a good strike on it, and it flew in.
And now, of course, the clearance by Peter Latchford. There's Russell again. Gordon Smith. Gordon Smith scores his 20th goal for Rangers.
It was interesting because Celtic were attacking the Rangers end down there, and they all claimed a penalty kick. And I took a short by kick from Peter McCloy, and we ran down the length of the park exchanging a few passes, and it ended up I think with Tom McLean down here at the Celtic end having a shot which was parried by the goalkeeper, and it stopped about a yard from the goal line, and I just ran all the way and I kicked the ball in at the Celtic end. And as a Rangers player, there's no better feeling than scoring against Celtic at their end of the park. It wasn't the greatest goal in the world, but it's one that a lot of people seem to remember because of the incident beforehand and the length of the field running with the ball and passing it a couple of times. And I think one of the things there was the fact that I passed it and managed to pass it accurately and get back.
In the cup final of that year, the combination of McDonald, McLean and Johnston proved too much for Aberdeen.
The ball by Johnston to McLean. Unlike McLean to lose possession when there was no challenge on him like that. Gordon Smith to Cooper. Johnston looking for support. Finds it in Russell. There's Alec McDonald. It's there. Alec McDonald scores the opening goal of the cup final. McLean does well to sweep that in. There's Johnston. Yes.
The lifeblood of every club is its fans, but Rangers fans are a special breed. They will literally follow their team everywhere, at home or abroad. Fans like Andy Bain, who in spite of losing a leg in the last war, has missed only 2 games since the end of hostilities. Tell me about the Eindhoven game in 1978.
That was unbelievable. It was nothing each at Ibrox, and didn't look too clever us going across there, and we're saying if we score, we're in with a shout and this and that. But I don't need to tell you, they scored in the first half minute. Oh, and everybody's all just in the depths of despair. Oh, what's happening here?
Yeah, I think that was a time where everybody had written us off because we didn't do particularly well at Ibrox, and then we went over there, and I think they scored really early in the game. So, it was a case of throwing caution to the wind.
Really early in the game was 23 seconds. The ball hardly had a chance to get warmed up, And there it was, 1-0 for Eindhoven. It prompted a wee Rangers fan at half-time to say they were a wee bit lucky they started before we were ready. However, Rangers did come back, and a wee bit of Tommy McLean magic, wee chip, and there was Doddy with one of his flying headers. His timing was always perfect, always arrived at the right time, made it 1-1. But it wasn't all over. Eindhoven were a really good team at that time, and a super hook beat Big Peter McCloy, and it made it 2-1 for them on the night. We needed another goal to get back into it, and here it comes. Oh, nearly took the heat off a big Derek Johnston there, and he enjoyed that as much as those punters behind that goal. 2-2, and we're through at that stage. And then came that third goal, but I'll leave the description of that to a man that's seen Rangers in Europe more times than I've had hot dinners.
The third goal for to win it was absolutely out of this world. Always meant wee McLean getting the ball on the right, and he'd seen wee Russell running through, and before he could run into an offside position or anything like that, he sent the ball into him. We got us collect. The goalkeeper's going to run at an angle, right along the deck, right into the corner, and the place just went berserk. Fawn about and I must have done maybe about 10 feet in the air. Oh, it's right, I couldn't believe it. It was absolutely brilliant, so it was. To me, that was the greatest result ever in the European football as far as Rangers are concerned.
Before we leave the 70s, there is a goal that many Rangers fans remember, and who can forget it? It was a volley from about 3 inches, and it was scored by Big Tam Forsyth.
Well, it's not often I got for set plays, but I went up this time and Tommy put the cross in and Derek headed it, and I thought the ball was actually in, and it hit the post and across the other side, and I was just there to, well, as people say, I stabbed it in.
And it's in there. It's there. Forsyth getting the final touch.
Winning so many trophies in the 70s, it left the club with an enviable problem: where to store them all. This is the crowning glory of the Rangers Football Club, the magnificent Ibrox Trophy Room. One man who knows more than most about the Trophy Room is the club guide, Andy Campbell. How did it all come about?
The trophy room actually was opened in 1959 by Mr. Scott Simon, the manager after Mr. Struth, and it was his wish that a room be opened for the supporters to see the trophies. Before that, it was a players' billiard room, and I believe they could actually fill the trophy room 3 or 4 times over.
Most people come to see the major trophies, like the 3 that make up winning a treble: the League Championship Trophy, the Scottish Cup and the League Cup. But there's one little trophy that could be quite easily overlooked.
This is the oldest trophy we actually have in the place. It's the Moses McNeil goblet. And Moses McNeil is a gentleman that actually started up Glasgow Rangers with his brother William and a man called Peter Campbell. And also, in the second year of Rangers' existence, I believe Moses loaned Rangers £5 4 shillings or £5 20 pence. And if he hadn't done so, Rangers might not be here today.
Pride of place in the trophy room is reserved for Bob McPhail's medals, 36 in all, including 7 for the Scottish Cup. His goal in the 1928 final is one that he still remembers fondly.
That was a mistake, of course. Almost hit. No, it was a shot.
Yeah.
It came out, the ball came out to about the penalty spot, and I scored from there. But it was a terrific shot from about 10 yards.
It went into the net, which is the important thing. Captain in the 1928 Cup final was David Meiklejohn, Was he as good a player as people remember?
Michael John was in a class by himself, not only with his feet and legs, but with his head. He could redirect a ball left or right, and he always gave you it down the way.
The wee blue devil Alan Morton also played, but apparently wasn't too happy with one of Bob's passes.
It was up this height,
Yeah.
and he stood back. And so I said, "Why didn't you head it?" He says, the name of the game is football." And that was me quietened.
Have you got a favourite goal or a favourite match, you know, that you played in? Would it be the 28 Cup final, or was there another one?
It was when I put a ring on my wife's finger. That was the best match.
The 1980s started with a memorable match against Celtic in the Dryborough Cup.
Coots was an absolutely magnificent goal, but it was the second best goal of the game that day. Basically, Andy, the camera couldn't keep up with it. It was going that quick. And one of the Celtic players came with the ball. I was playing as a sweeper, basically, and it was just outside the 18-yard box, and he came through with the ball, and I just took the ball off him, one of my crunching tackles that I was famous for. And from there, basically, I beat one player and just went right through the team. Got into the 18-yard box and kidded somebody on, took it on my left foot and had a cracker right in the net. And it took me all day to get back, mind you. I was knackered after that.
The Dryborough Cup one sticks out in my mind. Many years ago against Celtic at Hampden, there was a big crowd that day, and it was one of these ones where I just started flicking the ball up in the air to get it away from defenders, and before I knew it, I was clean through on Peter Latchford and managed to finish it by putting it in the back of the net. One of these goals, it just happened spur of the moment, and I'll always remember it.
The thing about it in the papers, I hardly got a mention because he did score an exceptional goal. You know, he kept it up and flicked it over one boy and flicked it over the other guy and rocked it in the net. And although my goal I think was a wee bit better, I hardly got a mention.
The first Old Firm game of the following season provided a spectacular goal from Alec Miller.
Chance for Miller. That is a superb goal from Alec Miller. His first of the season. It came from a throw-in from Willie Johnston. He struck it beautifully on the full volley with that left foot. And you can see that Pat Bonner hadn't an athlete.
I think over the years I've been mainly known for supplying the crosses for other people. A lot of people said that at times, maybe you don't score as many goals as you would like, but my answer to that is that the satisfaction I get for maybe crossing one and one of the other lads knocking one in, it's a goal for the club. At the end of the day, I don't really mind who puts them in as long as we get a goal.
There's Derek Johnston. Cooper playing it in. Bobby Russell makes it two. And that really was a wicked free kick from Davy Cooper.
It's a thing I always practiced when I was younger, you know, coming through the school days. I could hit the ball very hard. I was lucky enough to do that, and it was only a matter of trying to get it round the wall, and I used to stand hours on end and try and curl it round the wall and do certain things, and then gradually you start getting used to it and you start finding the target, and then you start putting more pace on the ball. So it was something I was known for, and luckily enough I managed to get my share in my career of getting the ball in the net round the wall.
Oh, it's Davy Cooper entrusted with the task of finding a way past that United wall. And he's made it!
And be a very, very dangerous striker of the ball indeed. Still, 33 minutes. The magic left foot of Davy Cooper brings the game to life.
Roberts is dictating things. That's brilliantly struck by Davy Cooper.
And then in season 83-84, Rangers signed a certain Ali McCoist, who started a scoring habit against Celtic, which has continued to this day.
The two newcomers, of course, Ali McCoist from Sunderland, signed for 170,000, and the young Glaswegian-born Australian internationalist. There's his back, number 11, David Mitchell. Well, there's a great goal. Ali McCoist, right out the blue, right through the Celtic defence, 27 seconds.
McCoist against Bonner. Perfectly stopped away by Ali McCoist, and Rangers take the lead. So 50 minutes of the second half gone. Is this the second for Rangers? Yes, Ali McCoist has done it. He made it at the second attempt.
I think I've always said along, it's the best part of my job, certainly. Coming in here every day is a real pleasure, but what I'm paid to do here is score goals.
Well, it's not all the memories are about great victories. There was a great 4-each game against Celtic in 1986.
That was probably one of the best Old Firm games I played in. I think we're 2-0 down, brought it back to 2-1 with Cammy Fraser, scored a great header.
Here's Durant, now McCoist. The out-swinging cross, Cammy Fraser! Brilliant goal from Rangers. Johnston for Celtic.
It was Tommy Burns, we put him through and made it 3-1. But my own goal, I was quite pleased with that. There was a shot from outside the box, and don't get too many of them, so I enjoyed that one.
Magnificent goal, Ali McCoist. Fine pass to McPherson. Another McLeod back with him. Robert Fleck, that's the third. Well taken by Bonner. Played back in and under the crossbar. Touched in by Cammy Fraser.
Old Firm games are generally tight, closely fought affairs. This one was obviously closely fought, but the 8 goals in it, the set was incredible.
And who could ever forget the great Old Firm clash at Ibrox when Rangers achieved a great 2-2 draw after a fight back with 9 men.
It was Woodsy and Big Butch got their orders. We went down to 9 men and Robbo was in goals, doing his bit in front of the Cortland Road. We came back and I was fortunate enough to pull one back to make it 2-1 with my left foot, surprisingly enough.
McCoist, a great chance for Rangers. He's made it. Rangers are right back in the match. And this goal, a tribute initially to Ferguson and then to Richard Gough. Now just look at the quality of this pass from Gough, opening up the Celtic defence. And McCoist so deadly coming in from the flank, inside of the post, into the net, and Rangers are right back in contention. Derek Ferguson playing it wide for Durant. Rogan comes to meet him. Oh, that's good running by Durant. He's away from Rogan. The early ball inside. McCarthy did well with the header, but it's Durant again. The last chance perhaps for Rangers. The chance is on for Gough. Richard Gough makes it 2 apiece. The final minute of the match. What incredible drama here at Ibrox.
And I can remember looking at the Celtic support because it was right up at that end, and they were shattered. And then it was just like a split second after it sunk in that we'd scored, and the whole Rangers end just absolutely erupted. I mean, the noise was incredible, and we drew 2 each that day. But I think the fans felt we'd beaten them. It was like a victory for us because we'd lost the goalkeeper and Big Butch and stuff like that. And coming back from 2-0 down, this was like a moral victory for the lads. That was a great day.
But what is it actually like to be a player in an Old Firm game?
Well, I remember my first game on the Wednesday night at Ibrox. It was 96,000 at Ibrox, and the gates were closed at 6 o'clock or something, and thousands walked out. And that kind of atmosphere and the noise, and you're coming out of 2 teams that come out, you can't hear a thing.
When it comes to the day of the match, obviously there's a lot of nerves involved, and everybody's different how they cope with their nerves. Some people just sit in a corner and read a paper quietly, others are bouncing about, shouting and bawling and all these sort of things, but it's very, very nervous.
Well, playing against Celtic is special. It's the biggest club game in the world. There's no doubt about it that it's a game that the atmosphere is unique, and and to play in that game alone is fantastic, but to actually score in it, it makes it even better.
If you win the game, the dressing room after the game is tremendous and everybody's on a high, but in the opposite, the heads are down and you don't feel it going out on a Saturday night if you lose that match, and it really determines how you live for the next few weeks until you play the Celtic again, so you can get a chance to redress the balance. But it really is so important. It's only a game of football to some people, but other people it's their life.
Well, for Old Firm game, I think the boys are buzzing, but if you like Coyson, then we're ready at 2:10. Coyson, he usually puts his dribbling 2:45, a 5-minute warm-up, that's him, that does him, but usually most of the boys, we're all keyed up and ready to go.
Everybody deals with it in different ways. Some of the boys, like Bomber, will be ready about 1:30. He'll have his gear on about 1:30, be marching up and down the dressing room, throwing head-in balls off the wall. And we Giranti's a little bit later, and I'm probably latest at a lot, which will surprise a lot of you. I like to get a read at the programme, I sit about and a bit of crack and take my time getting ready. But Bomber, as I say, he's unbelievable. He's 1:30 and he's up marching down the dressing room.
Ray Wilkins will take the free kick. Goff is in the box once again. So is Butcher. Back to Brown. Blocked by McCarthy. There's McCoist.
Gary Stevens took a throw from the right-hand side, kicking into the Celtic end. And Terry Butcher flicked on, and it took a deflection, the ball came out, and Ray Wilkins met it on the volley and absolutely lashed it in. And Ian Andrews was in goal for Celtic that day, and I don't think he moved. Ray will remember that, I'm sure, for the rest of his career.
Goff and Butcher have gone up. It's launched in field by Stevens. There's Butcher. Back with Wilkins. Absolutely magnificent from Ray Wilkins. Here's Durant retrieving it for Rangers. McCoist nods it on, an awkward one for Andrews. And the ball is in the net. It's a goal for Rangers. McCoist to Walters. Walters now facing McCarthy. Getting in a fine cross. Kevin Twinkle. Walters to Twinkle. It's 4-1 to Rangers. It was great play from Walters, finding room for the cross. There was Twinkle powering the header against the balance of Andrews into the top corner. And it's 4-1 to Rangers. White judging the fight well. There's Brown. Taken in trouble, there's Ali McCoist. Down he goes this time, but Walters!
In the second half started quick fire, and we'd knocked 3 goals in the first 20 minutes or so. And then, as I say, I think we took the foot off the accelerator a little bit, some we should never have done. And 5-1 was brilliant, but I think it could have been more.
Of course, Rangers did play other teams in the 80s, and George Suter, who's fondly known as Doddy at Ibrox, remembers one European tie especially.
Well, there are many great goals, but the one that comes to mind is the one at Boa Vista. And the reason being, we couldn't get, Scott Nisbet and myself couldn't get sitting on the bench, so we were put to the back of the goal. And Derek Ferguson was the scorer. And the leading up work was done by David Cooper. And it screamed into the net. In fact, it hit the net before the goalkeeper moved. And Scott Nisbet and I had a field day, jumping up and down like a couple of loonies.
A cornerstone of the great Rangers revival in the 80s was the great Terry Butcher, still sadly missed at Ibrox, and who has a great affection yet for the Teddy Bears.
Well, I obviously remember many goals that Rangers scored in my 4 and a bit years that I was here, many important goals, but probably in that first year, 86-87, when we won the championship at Pittodrie, the goal I scored, I'm not just saying because I scored, because it's one of the rare goals I did score for Rangers in the right net. But David Cooper took a very quick free kick. There was a bit of jostling on the far post, and as usual, David Cooper put it right on the button, and I just got my head to it. And the pace of the ball, the pace of the free kick from Davy, I just got my head there and managed to nut it in.
There's Cooper. There's Butcher, he scored!
The shock that I'd scored was the first thing, and then everybody piled on my back, but I must have had about 4 or 5 on my back, and I just carried on walking. It was a great feeling, and that goal, as we're down to 10 men then, we thought, right, that's it.
In 1988, Rangers won the League Cup, but not before a technically brilliant goal from Davy Dodds.
20 minutes gone, Aberdeen with the corner kick, and that's the equaliser. Dodds. Not an easy chance, I may say. Seemed to come off the thigh. And Ferguson was a brilliant goal. To bring to Rangers, showing a little bit of the quality that attracted Souness and others in the first place. Absolutely no chance for Theo Snelders to save this one.
And he might well have left that. Redford. Ian Redford surely wins the cup for Rangers.
Cooper's still there. A lovely reverse pass. Here's Russell to McKinnon. Got to judge it well. The chip. There it is again. And Chris scores. 2-0.
Durant's header to McCoy's. There's Durant, a great chance for Rangers. And that was magnificent.
Set piece at the edge of the box. Wilkins sideways to Ian Ferguson. Perhaps the most powerful right foot in Scotland at the moment.
The foul. And he's done it. A beautiful goal by McCall. There's Ferguson with a shot. Oh, it's a brilliant one. And he's gone in. It's a second for Rangers. The goalkeeper couldn't stop it, and I think Ali got the final touch, Ali
McCoy's. No. Walter Smith's job's not in any danger for me. It's a big job, you know. Harry S. Truman, the former President of the United States, once said, the buck stops here. And as far as Rangers are concerned, this is where the buck stops, Walter Smith's desk. This is where all the big deals are done. This is where Walter and Archie maybe sit on a Monday morning and discuss the game that's happened on the Saturday. You can just imagine them, can't you, after losing 2-1 to Kilmarnock, saying, I think we'll go downstairs and say to the boys that they're a wee bit unlucky on Saturday. And Archie saying, I think they were a wee bit unfortunate. That last minute goal certainly caught us unawares. And you can believe that if you like. But just what makes Rangers so successful? That's the $64,000 question, isn't it? Are tactics that important to Walter Smith?
I think with the standard of player we've got, the tactics are a part of it, but they're no major part. Getting good players, getting a good balance of team, and giving them a good environment to play in, which Ibrox is. Rangers a good environment. I mean, they're playing in front of 40,000 people on a Saturday. They're playing for a big club. It's there to be enjoyed, and you've just got to make sure as a manager that that part's there. Tactics play a part in it, but not a bigger part, not a big part. I think if you go to, you know, maybe other clubs, if you're not lucky enough to have the standard of player we've got here, then you have to work a wee bit more on the tactical side. But here I think the standard of player allows you not to do quite as much tactically and just make sure that they're in the right frame of mind to go into the game.
Talking about standard of player, you can see I'm a finely honed athlete, can't you? By the way, I'm the baldy one on the right. There was points in this game where I thought I'd have to throw a double six to get into it. And then, of course, how was I going to get out of it? Then I found the fall guy. Archie, in you go. Then I got a wee chance to display some wonderful skills like that. So naturally, the boys wanted me to play in a wee practice match, didn't they? And they left me with my tongue hanging out. Literally.
Hey, on your right.
Dear oh dear, no. Watch this. Beckenbauer, who's he?
We're in now. We're in.
Absolutely superb performance, by the way. I've never seen anybody go at such a speed backwards as you did there.
Where's the signing on for him? That's what I want to know. By the way, you're not seeing it all here. I've been on for an hour and a half. Well, it feels like an hour and it feels like a day and a half. Dear oh dear. I wondered why they called this Titwood. Guess what bit I am? I was just looking at Chenks, as you call him, or we the punters call him Miko. He's got a tremendous skill, hasn't he? For a big guy, he's got a hell of a delicate touch. And somebody like Peter Hussa, you know, coming for the continent as well. What like is it playing with guys like that?
Well, I think they're pretty average for the money we've paid.
Do you think so?
You know, I think we could get more out of them, but apart from that, no, serious.
He's away, he's not even
they're great guys, and but we've still not seen them putting their hands into their wallet. But I think the money we paid for them, we could expect more from them. So, yeah, Peter Chenks, hope you're listening.
Have you got a favourite moment since you came to Ibrox? Is there a goal that sticks out in your mind?
Well, yes. New Year's Day, 2 seasons ago, I believe. Parkhead came on, changed the face of Scottish football. Really, you know, I laid one on for McCoy to get the penalty. Hateley put it in to make it 2-1. Brown last minute gets up 20 yards out, scores a third, jumps the barriers, and you're looking at the new Colin Jackson.
Hateley on the right, holding the play up for Stevens. Spikeman again. John Brown's in the middle. Alstra on the left. McCoy's in the inside right position. Here's Brown going all the way himself. That settles it. John Brown ends the match in a contest with a rifling left-foot shot.
Goals are magic, but the fans want to know everything about the players, what they eat, their favourite drink, even down to who cuts their hair. The man responsible for the current crop at Ibrox is himself a blue nose, Taylor Ferguson. Who is it? What players come in here?
Like Mark comes in, he's Mr. Versace. He comes in, and they call him Mr. Versace. You know, from head to toe, but he suits it so well.
Yeah, but what a signing he's been for the Rangers.
And then Ali comes in, he makes an appointment with us to say Monday at 3 o'clock and we get him on Friday. That's just about that amount of time.
That's a bit early. Well, Taylor.
How's that?
Oh, you're a magician, you know.
Thank you.
Looks as if I've got here. Well, talking about the Rangers there, I actually think they'll go from strength to strength. You know, David Murray's got it all sorted to do it, and Walter's signing the right players. In fact, I could see us going on and making it 10 in a row, you know that?
That'll be right.
Ask any of these fans what their favourite Rangers match is and they'll tell you no problem. But what about the men at the top?
Every season that you have your favourite matches, you know, that you go through, important matches that you've got to win. I took over as a manager towards the end of the season when Graham Souness went away, and we had 2 or 3 nervy matches, and we had probably a game that will always stick in my mind against Aberdeen here. It's not very often you get to play the last game of the season, the 2 teams who it's possible for to win the championship. We had a lot of problems injury-wise going into that game, and I'll never forget, you know, the build-up. You were asking me what a day before the game. Well, Archie had just joined us, and we just started to do our wee routine, and you know, it seemed to pass just like that, and we got into the match. And the atmosphere that day, you usually associate great atmosphere with Old Firm games here, but the atmosphere that day was absolutely phenomenal.
I've always said that it's a wee bit like the John F. Kennedy one. You'll always remember where you were when it happened. If you're a Rangers supporter, wherever you were in the world, whether it be in Australia, London, Corby, anywhere, you know where you were the day Rangers won the championship.
Attention was there for both sides. You know, for Aberdeen, an opportunity to win the league at Ibrox, which psychologically for them would have been a great thing, even looking towards the following seasons. For me, just starting out as a manager and getting an opportunity to keep the momentum going at Rangers that had been set over a period of years.
It looked like the championship was running away from us a wee bit. We'd gone to Motherwell and lost. We'd scraped through against St Mirren the week before that. And I just think right up to the last minute we'd never won it.
That's a day I think I'll always live with me, and it's not often, as I say, you get an opportunity to play or be involved in that type of game. And when we won that, to win the league, that was probably the best feeling I've ever had, you know, at any time in my career.
His clearance. Walters wants to bring the ball down and take on Wright. Going for the early cross, there's Hayplay. It's a magnificent goal for Rangers. 5 minutes from half-time and Ibrox erupts. It's just about the first time in the match Mark Haypley's at the better of Alec McLeish. It was a delightful cross and a masterly finish. Set up here by Walters. Well, good decoy runs made there, notably by Gary Stevens. That ball flighted across. But this is Mark Haypley at his very best.
Mark Haley at this moment in time is probably the best striker in the country. He's really very, very hard to handle for opposing defenders, and really he's been one of the main reasons over the last 4 or 5 years Rangers have been so strong.
Rangers are very lucky they've got him at a peak. His fitness is tremendous. His knowledge of the game is as good as it's going to be. He combines the two to make his play so effective that it's very, very hard to stop him.
To the fans, Mark Haley is the ultimate professional. But to 4 special people at home, he's just daddy. Having children, like young son Tom, Mark is not allowed to forget the importance of family life.
You know, family life is, it gets your mind off football. You go in training in the morning and, you know, it's always nice to come back, and then you've got, you know, just normal, you know, parenthood problems as everybody else has got with it, you know, whether it's football or a postman. You know, we still come away from work and, you know, the problems are still there. It takes your mind off it a lot of the time, most of the time.
Although it took long enough, what finally clinched his signature as a Ranger?
I think Rangers was, you know, possibly the easiest move for me. The chairman was very positive in what he wanted, so was Graham. And it was very much on the way I was looking, you know, to progress in my career. They wanted the same things for the club that I wanted for myself on the field, and you know, it was a very upfront approach. You know, there was no ifs and buts. There was, you know, it was a straightforward. We want to do this, and I wanted to do that. So basically, they were going in the right direction for me. You know, I'm a pretty positive sort of character anyway. I know what I want for myself and for my family, and you know, Rangers wanted the same for themselves, and you know, that was it really. It was an easy sort of move for me.
He's been outstanding since he came there, and the funny thing about it with Mark is that he's enjoying a period now at Rangers where he's not injured. Now, when he was at Milan, Archie and I went over to see him play a couple of times to assess Mark Haley with a possibility of coming to Old Trafford. But he was always getting injured. So we left it because of that. But in terms of ability, we'd have brought him. In fact, when I was at Aberdeen, I tried to buy him from Portsmouth. The manager at that time tipped me off about him. I went down, made a bid, and he says, well, we've sacked a manager. We're waiting on a new manager coming. We wouldn't do anything until he took over. And of course, Alan Ball came. He got picked for England's under-21, did well, played him the full game, full international against Brazil over Brazil, had a stormer, sold to Italy for £1 million thereafter, which, you know, I made a bid for 200,000, I may have got him to.
Here's Haythwaite in the clear, it's a great chance for Rangers. Haythwaite against Bonner. Brilliant play from Haythwaite. Rangers take the lead. 35 minutes for the match gone.
first touch wasn't all that good as a youngster. I was always good in the air, and a typical centre forward, as they say. But I think going abroad, sharpening up, more movement, better appreciation of the ball. Wanting the ball more, and when the ball comes, keeping hold of it. I always have scored more goals with my feet than my head throughout my career. I'd like to score as many with my head as I do with my feet. Then I'll probably be scoring like 40 odd goals a season. So it would be nice. Yeah, I love getting up in the morning, going training. And I can't wait for Saturdays to come round and pull on the jersey and get out there and try and win. I don't worry about anything really. All I worry about is how I'm going to play in, the right frame of mind. That's the only things I worry about. People have said to me, who do you find it most difficult to play against? And I really don't judge people how good they play. It's only how bad I play, and that's the way I look at things. And it's you don't worry about who you're playing against and what sort of formation, or whether they're going to be playing 4 or 5 at the back with a sweeper or a marker. What you're worried about is how your own personal performance is going to go and how the team are going to react on the day. I've been fortunate, I think, in I've reached most targets so far, and I keep still setting myself targets, and I want to keep achieving, and I still want to play at the highest level, and I think playing for Rangers in this particular era, there's no bigger club I could be playing with, and that's possibly I enjoy winning. And we do more winning than losing at Rangers, and that's why I think everybody enjoys it here.
After all the globe-trotting, does he now consider Scotland as home?
Yeah, I think so. I think this will be me now, right through the kids' schooling now. We said that by the time that our eldest daughter was 10, which we would want to be settled and no more moves till she's finished the school. She's 12 now, so this is I think the final house.
Are we likely in the future to see young Haitley in a Rangers jersey?
I don't know if this one's going to be... Would you like to play football, Tom, when you grow up?
Yes.
Yeah, who would you like to play for? Who would you like to play for?
Yeah.
My ear. Go on then. Rangers. You'd like to pull on a blue jersey and play for Rangers? Probably be better than me. And my dad says I'm better than him, so he'll be better than me. So be a fair player, Tom.
Of course, you don't win games if you score 4 goals and then let in 5. A vital cog in the Rangers machine is the man with the safest pair of hands in Britain, Andy Gorham. But was it all down to him?
I think the secret was, over the last 2 years, we've had a settled defence. It was more or less the same back 4 for 2 years. That's the key to anything. I know exactly what the boys are and they're not going to do. So that's the secret. When you've got players chopping and changing in front of you, it's very difficult. The boys that come in, anybody that comes in are good enough to play anyway.
Andra being as modest as ever, but it was world-class forum like this that was largely responsible for Rangers' treble-winning season.
Patalainen nodding it across, and a great save again from Gorham. Ian just holds his head, he can't believe it. Well, Andy Gorham undoubtedly the Rangers' hero in the first half.
But how did he get to that shot?
I have my eyes closed, I've no idea. No, it's something you do. You don't even think about it. It's something you do. It's one of the things. But that game, I think, was a turning point of the season. If Aberdeen had won that night, I think there'd only been 3-4 points behind us at the time if they'd have won. That put us like 7 in front, which really there was no way they were going to catch us after that.
They should open up. Fine header there by Patalainen. An excellent save from Gorham. Chances on through the middle. It's brilliant goalkeeping by Gorham.
Another vital save from Andy came from Darius Dubček in an Old Firm game at Celtic Park.
I think if we were bottom of the league and we were struggling, they'd have probably pushed it in the top of the net. They'd probably scored off it. You get the breaks and you get a bit of luck. But I've been playing for 13 years, so sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. You get to learn these things, but you need a bit of luck as well. I've made saves, but at the same time, I've carried a bit of luck as well.
Andy Gorham now lining up the Rangers defensive wall. Celtic players in a huddle. Dovček's there with Grant and McStay. As I said at the start, Dovček has scored against Rangers before. And he does pack a terrific shot, but it's a shot one to McStay. Marvellous save by Andy Gorham from Darius Dovchak. Hitley nipped in there just ahead of Mowbray. This is Boyd. And Andy Gorham, a terrific save again. Well, Stuart Slater just cannot believe it. Tom Boyd got in the cross. What a terrific effort that was from Slater. He might easily have had a hat-trick in this second half. Dovchak's corner, punched away by Gorham. Turned by Collins. Breaks out now to Peter Grant. Rangers under siege. This is Paul McStay. The chance on now for Gillespie. And again, Andy Gorham defies Celtic.
The atmosphere at Ibrox on a European night is one that the fans relish. But what about the chairman? How does he prepare for the big occasion?
Well, we go through a ritual every game. Walter, the Doc and Archie and I, we also have our lunch or our tea. It was a midweek game together. And I always come into Glasgow a various way. I have to go through the middle of Glasgow and it's just have these wee rituals. And a European night is the only night I go down to the dressing room. I never do it in a league game. It's just silly you pick up these rituals. But as you know, it's so important to us, not just playing-wise, but financially. And I always remember we played Leeds here in the first game and the nerves really got to us when McAllister scored after a minute. And Walter looked over me and said, "What do you feel?" And I said, "I saw £4 million floating out of the stadium." Yeah. So it's different pressures, but I'm sure every Rangers supporter feels the nerves like we all do.
Of course, the second leg at Ellen Road was the one that decided the best in Britain. And it certainly left an impression in two of football's greats. And George Best has no doubt who his favourite Ranger is.
I would think it would have to be Hitley when they played Leeds. When he had a through ball, and you know the instinct of a great striker is when they know where the goalkeeper is, and he actually had a little look, and he knew Lukic was off his line, and he's turned and he's hit a ball that was just, you know, as soon as he struck it, you knew it was in the back of the net. I mean, that was class. That was a great memory. Yeah, terrific guy.
Effort, you know, the ball was there, it was sitting nice early on in the game. Keeper's not touched the ball yet, so you know, you have a shot and you buy a ticket, you've got a chance of winning a raffle, haven't you?
To be fair, there have been many great goals through the years, Baxter's goals for his country, but I must admit that one of the best goals was scored not that long ago for Rangers against Leeds in the European Cup, when there was a most magnificent move. Durant knocked the ball through to Hitley, who took it in his stride and just knocked it first time across the goal, and there was Ali McCoist to come in and head it. And I must say that was probably one of the best goals ever scored, not only for Rangers in that, but probably in the European Cup.
McAllister. Pushed in for Chapman. Speed playing it through for Cantona. Brown's challenge was a strong one and a good one, and Durant now leading the charge. Here's Hitley. Hoist on the far side. It's a super goal, and Rangers now have thoroughly killed off this European Cup tie. The joy on the face of Ali McCoist, a super strike down the left, an inch-perfect cross, and that Predator-in-Chief Ali McCoist registers goal number 29 of the season.
The home tie against Bruges will be remembered for lots of reasons, but who'll ever forget the contribution from Big Nissy?
I think I had one eye on the ball, and everything seemed to go into slow motion, as it does. And I had one eye on the dugout to see how they came sailing out of the dugout. If you ever watch the dugout, they don't run out and cheer. They actually sail out of the dugout. And to see the ball bouncing, it seemed to take about 20 minutes to sail through the air and bounce as it did and go into the back of the net. And I think the adrenaline sweeps through you then, and it's so much of a relief when it goes into the net that's what makes a real goal for me.
I just remember Trevor Stevens trying to cross the ball, and Stuart McCall got a deflection off his Stuart McCall and the ball broke loose. And I just went through player on a 50-50, but the player pulled out, got a deflection off his toe, and I just spun high in the air. And I never really see it bounce in front of the goals because there was bodies in front of me, but I just saw everybody jumping behind the goals.
It might be the biggest fluke in Europe this season, but who cares?
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Go back and running towards the dugout. I didn't know where to run that night. I was that excited to score the goal. Just glad we got through the next round and
against Marseille. It was a big goal, big night for me as well.
You've heard people describe their favourite goals for Rangers over the years, and you've seen some of them today. You might be wondering what my favourite goal is. Well, it wasn't a great European goal or a Scottish Cup final goal. It was actually scored here in a League Cup tie. Ali McCoy took a free kick from about 25 yards out and he hit it into that top posted stamped corner behind me. And then he ran across to the touchline and remembered that he couldn't run off the park and showed everybody, I'm not going off the park, which epitomised McCoy's to me. A great strike from a great striker and then a great show from a great showman. And Super Ali certainly showed both those qualities in the League Cup final in 1993, but not before Durante had drawn first blood.
Ferguson to Durant. Headed it on past, there's Durant. The opening goal for Rangers. Brilliantly finished by Ian Durant.
The two goals were great. Because different types of goals, of course. Gets a little break, it bounces up against his knee, I think, but bobbles. But he had the composure to look up and see Jim Whiting come off his line and just lobs it beautifully over him. A really good goal. That's the kind of the goal that a lot of strikers like to score, showing the composure against the goalkeeper in that situation where he starts to go down and he can lift it over his head.
The long throw, looking for Hateley's flick on. Tweed is with him. That's McCoy, so the acrobatic effort!
Well, it's just sheer opportunism, really. Ali's got his back to goal, and they've all sort of a half stopped, and Ali's put an overhead kick into the corner. I mean, that's typical Ali. You can't leave him alone.
A nice tribute from one great Ranger to another. You've just watched some of the golden moments from the past 30 years, but 100 years from now, wherever football is played, you'll still hear the roar. Come away, the Glasgow Rangers.